you at the Richmond side or the McLean?
I'm in McLean, Viraj,
Cool.
based out of North Virginia in Ashburn.
Oh, cool. I live in Herndon.
Oh, nice. Pretty close
Yeah.
by, yes.
Okay, guys, it's just another 5 minutes and then we start. We're checking the stream on the YouTube. If it's working fine and people are able to hear us, give us a moment. Looks okay. It's just 3 minutes more and then we'll be live. 3 to 4 minutes. Hi, Steve. Just have 3 minutes. It's just now, yeah, just 3 minutes more. Max. We'll start at 9:05. It's 9:02 here in India. Hello, everybody. Hello to everyone. So we'll start at exactly 9:05. It's 9:02 in India. Hello, everybody, and good morning, good evening, whatever time zone you are from, you are joining us from. So welcome to the session. Just give us another 2 minutes more. We'll allow people to join, and then we'll start. Hi, Ray. Just have another 1 to 2 minutes, and we're just allowing the people to join. We have already verified the streams are working correctly, and at all platform we are live. Just 1 minute before it's 9:05 and we start. It's 9:04 now. So it's 9:05 and now we are starting. So I would request everyone to go on mute for a moment. Yeah. So yeah. Uh, So I would just like to say thank you again for joining today, and I would like to say great thanks to Anand for giving us a time from his busy schedule on Sunday specifically, I would say. So if you start with the session, the session is on the topic of the importance of data engineering in building customer data platform, and in the short form we call it CDP. So the agenda of the session would be why the need of integrating customer data platform is there. There are multiple way to handle data is already available. We can build custom tools and there are already out of the box tools available. What is customer data platform at first? Some use cases supported by CDP, real use cases in fact, because the way I know Anand, we have been like he has been implementing and designing and building CDP system and mentoring people on the CDP system for long. Do engineers build a CDP? And he will give a watch out on specific topic. So what is CDP? CDP basically to start with is a customer data platform. It's a tool that helps you bring reliable customer data together. That means it helps you with one or ideally all of the below: data collection, taking customer data from a number of tools, data processing and consolidation, data activation and execution. Anand will be talking on all these topics. Anand is a director data analysis at Capital One. I will detail about his profile a little later. That's his LinkedIn profile, Anand Jain 82. You can connect to him directly. Live and self-paced session can be anytime taken with this Bitly. We'll also show you how to get to the content, slide, certificates and everything. So about Anand Jain, as I said, he's a director data analysis. He works with Capital One Bank. He's a director of Martech, data head of marketing data platform. He's an MBA from Kellogg. This is speaker profile again. Uh, I am Anjani Kumar. I am the host of the session. I am inventor, leader, mentor, founder, and enabler. I have multi decades of direct service to the IT industry. I am ex-Publicis Sapient, RBS, and Microsoft. I am the chief evangelist of multi-cloud for you, and this is my LinkedIn profile. You guys can connect to me anytime. About multi-cloud for you is the evangelist team and community at the top. Before we do anything other than this, we are a bridge between corporate and startups. We bring real engineer out of their bunkers. Mean to say that we try to connect with the engineers working in the industry directly with their client, experimenting, and like to hear about their failures, success, the stories, the experimentation that they have done, and we encourage them to come on this platform. We guide the engineering community, and we also support consultancy, community, product, and research. And primarily, we are expertising in our expertise in multi-cloud and data platform. We do multiple sessions around the world. It's multi-cloud strategy, data science and AI, blockchain, extreme engineering. Mostly they are online sessions so that people from any part of the world should connect. Certificate, recording and content for this session is available on, you just have to search 5th IR plus CDP or 5th IR plus Anand, or even you can go on the 5th IR site and then you can search CDP or Anand. You will be able to get all the recording, content, certificate for the session anytime in the future. And this will be available there as a self-paced course later. 5th IR, what is 5th IR? So it's a SaaS-based self-service platform. We are building multiple layer of the platform. This connects technologies from startup and corporate, and this is more, we are turning it as a transitional support to 5th IR with the time, and we are experimenting, researching around those topics which are very important when the industry or system and the people and the society transform to the 5th industrial revolution and new norms of 5th industrial revolution. This is our Telegram channel. You can connect to us anytime. In the upcoming sessions, we have a session with Bill Inman plan, which is on practical textual analytics. The master class with Bill Inman that will start on February 15 and February 20, end in February 26. He will teach in Mountain Time, Denver, and that's a online class. That's free. You can apply on the 5th IR site, and then based on the selection, you will be notified. There's another session on February 20, which is SQL Edge to the Cloud by Bob Ward. He's a principal architect Microsoft. Bill Inman, you know, he's the father of data warehouse. That's a 5th IR site where you can search Bill Inman, Bob Ward, or any of the topic, and you will be able to find it. It will direct you to the platform. This is my partner, co-partner, Rick, co-founder UK, Dheeraj Singh is in US, and Bhaskar, he is in India. Instruction for the session, you all are mature, but still we just wanted to remind it. So please mute yourself for the convenience of everyone. Type in all your question in the chat pod. We'll read and answer all questions. And people who are joining from Facebook, who are joining directly on our 5th hour site, they are directly seeing the streaming there, or they are directly seeing on YouTube. They can simply put their chat, put their question in the chat window. We'll try to collect it up and pass it to Anand. During the Q&A, we may ask your queries using your mic and webcam. Back to Anand. Anand, it's all yours.
Yep. Thanks, Anjani. Let me share my screen. And before, just want to make sure everybody can hear me, can see my screen. If I can get some couple of thumbs up. Awesome. Perfect. So first of all, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon from whichever part of the country you're joining in. And Anjani, thanks for the introduction. As Anjani mentioned, that we really wanted to focus on the customer data platform, what it is, what's the importance of data engineering in building that. But before I dive into that topic, just building on to my introduction, what Anjani was mentioning, first and foremost, I'm from India, and I consider myself as a lifelong learner. And as Anjani was saying, I did my computer engineering back from India, and a couple of years back, as part of my learning journey, I also did my MBA. One thing that I really have focused on during my career is my love for data. My first project about 16 years back was a data warehouse, traditional warehouse platform. And over the course of last 15 years, I've done multiple content systems, commerce systems. And then about 8-9 years back, I found my way back into building some of these data platforms, focusing a lot on marketing side of the world, that how can we use data for marketing use cases. And about a year back, I joined a national bank, Capital One, in US, and right now leading their
I'm Anand Jain.
bank marketing data team to build data platforms, enabling a lot of experiences for our customers. The focus for today's session, today's learning agenda, as I call it, is first starting with why. That why do we need to integrate the customer data, which is the first and foremost thing that we should always think about doing anything. That why do we need it, and why do we need it now? And talking a little bit about what is a customer data platform, where does it helps, what kind of things are needed to do to bring together to build one data platform, and what are the key use cases, what I have seen in past 8 to 10 years, how they have transformed, which are supported by customer data platforms. And then diving a little bit into how engineers build it, what are the key considerations that we should be thinking about as engineers, as leaders in building these customer data platforms. And just as a takeaway, just putting everything, all my experiences, all the challenges that I've seen in the industry regarding this as a key takeaway towards the end. So before diving into a lot of details, a lot of interesting stuff, one thing I just want everybody to think about, or check your mailbox right now, and I can surely tell you that you find emails coming from marketers where you have seen wrong name addressed, or asking you to purchase something that you have literally just bought. And it was sometimes meant for somebody else. And even just to stretch that a little bit further, once you buy something, you still keep on seeing ads for that being targeted to you on either a social platform or the display channels. And at times you feel that, do these companies even know me, that I just bought it, they're still targeting me with these ads? And that problem has become so prevalent in today's day and age, and it creates such a disconnected experience for customers, as well as for marketers, that how do we actually know customers? How do we can reach to the customers in a much more efficient way? And this problem has actually exploded in last, I would say, 10 years or even going back for the 12 years, where we have seen a lot of explosion of data. So if you think about it, and I did quick research in terms of the Fortune 500 companies in US, all of these companies on an average sends about 150 million emails to their customers. The kind of traffic that they're generating on this site is on an average about 65 billion monthly site visits, sessions, about 500,000, about 5 million call minutes, 500,000 Google searches, tweets, photos on Instagrams, YouTube video views, mobile app downloads. And that's all just happening on the above the line space side, is on an average about 65 physical billion space as well. Customers are still visiting the retail stores, even though that has dropped last year because of the macro conditions. But there's such a huge amount of data sitting out there. And from marketers' perspective, that's the biggest challenge, that when they reach out to customers, do they really know their customers? There are so many touch points where customers can interact with a brand, with a company. It's almost impossible to connect all these moving dots right now. And if you think even from the customer viewpoint, the customer shares the same emotions on the other side as well. Some high-level stats, about 3/4 of the global customers would consider changing a service if they get a disconnected experience right now. And this is much more skewed towards the Gen Zs, the millennials of the world, where about 78% of the customers feel that if they get a disconnected experiences, they will potentially switch. And if you go even in the boomers, baby boomers as well, that percentage is not low. It's getting into upwards of 70s. And these numbers are from 2019. If you look at 2020 numbers, I'm sure these numbers have increased. And this is not just a US phenomena, it is global phenomena. Going from Singapore to US to Australia, that number is consistently above 70% at the minimum, or even touching three-fourths of the quarters. And in today's day and age, customers simply assume that you know them. Remember them, who they are, what kind of relationship they have with you, what they have. I'm hearing some chatter regarding the audios not being clear. Anjani, we are good on the audio, or do you want to check?
Dheeraj, can you confirm? I believe we are good, right? I can hear it very well and clear.
Yeah, it's fine, I think.
There may be some problem
Awesome.
at the user side. Yeah.
Got it. Perfect. So I think just pulling it back from the consumers as well, consumers definitely feel that brands should know them. Once you buy a product, you expect brands to know them. So if I think of an Apple ecosystem, they always know what apps I've bought, what products I have bought from them, not just the Mac or the phones or the iPads, but across the time horizon. When did I bought my first iPhone from them? And that's the kind of experience that customers expect from all the brands. In fact, there was some research done that customers strongly believe right now that if brands do not know them, they are more likely to switch, which is both financial loss for the companies as well as a huge amount of experiential loss for the customers as well. And that's where customer data platform sits. So from the puristic view standpoint, customer data platform is a marketer managed system that creates a persistent unified view of the customers that is accessible to the other systems. That's where it starts helping marketers to not just curate information about customers, persist information about customers, but also make sure it is available to all the downstream systems in a much more seamless manner to create that omnichannel experiences for our customers. And at a very, very high level, 40,000 feet view, that's exactly what a CDP is meant to do. It's collecting customer data from the digital channels, from the enterprise sources, from what kind of things customers are doing, even in a physical space, the POS, the retail stores of the world, unified together by creating that single view of the customer, enrich it, not just from data owned by the company, but what customers are doing above the line, what they have voluntarily shared with the company, and put it all together in context of their interaction with the company to enable the experiences what customers expect from the brand. And the third part to that story is using that information to activate the journeys for the customers where they really need to elevate the experiences. And one thing that I've really honed in the past as well, that to create that experiences, it's really important to curate the data, unify, stitch it together, create decisions based on that data, and then activate using that data set. And in a nutshell, that's what we have been doing in the customer data platform space. And to close the loop, once you activate using that data set, it's really important to bring that data back again, because you just do not want to have one-way communication, but whatever the customers are doing with that information, you want to bring it back as well, so that you have a continuous loop of optimizations and learning and bringing that data back to your data platforms. So at a very high level, what CDP is helping is to shift the focus from a very channel-specific, product-specific views, which is where a lot of marketing was happening in past, where the organizations were split by channels, that they were channel owners. Somebody owned an email as a channel, somebody owned a web as a channel, somebody owned social as a channel. And within orgs, there were product-specific views as well. Somebody owned a particular line of products, and some other LOB owned a particular other line of products. And moving it from towards more a customer-centric view, what customers are actually doing, what customers have actually bought, and where they are in their life cycle of either buy or post-buy retention phase. The second thing that CDPs are helping to shift from is the siloed internal data to a more fused internal-external perspective. This is where, if we think of where most of the organizations are still, is they have data for coming from enterprise channels, what customer have bought, what kind of interactions they are having. There is a database for call centers, there's a database for POS. And to bring it all together, there is no abstraction. If you have to really bring that together, you have to go to multiple systems to bring that view together. And that can take days, if not months or weeks, to create that experiences. And that's where CDP moves the needle by fusing these internal systems together, create that external perspective in near real time to elevate those experiences for the customers. And the third thing where CDP is helping to shift the focus is, instead of just a demographic channel-based learnings, how can we make sure that we are getting data across channels and not just looking at a demographic, geographic view, but also behaviors coming together. So it's all about getting the customer profile information, the observed information together in one single place, so that we can create learnings out of that to elevate the experiences, the next best actions for the customers. In addition to that, there is a lot of kind of misnomer about overlapping capabilities that people feel that CDP has with other platforms as well. So I've seen in last 5-6 years with a lot of CDP vendors coming in and a lot of existing data providers trying to get into that space, there's a lot of confusion around what CDP is not as well. So there are a lot of master data platforms, the MDM solutions out there, which feels like CDP, but if you think about it, MDM like Talent, Oracle, SAP, Informatica MDM, TIBCOs of the worlds, they contain the core profile of the customers, but are not meant to attach, they're not built to attach the high velocity transactional information about the customers. So they exist for a very specific purpose to create that unified profile, but not meant to attach the transaction high velocity data sessions. The second area where it gets a little bit confusing as well, that I already have an MDM. I have Adobe Audience Manager or Salesforce Studio, the Cruxes of the world, the New Stars, Blue Skies, Lertme of the worlds. They contain customer data as well. Why can't I use that as a CDP? But again, they're again meant for a very specific purposes that the data in these platforms are anonymized at a cookie level and best suited for upper funnel marketing in a segment way. So when you want to reach out to a particular segment, you create those segments in DMPs, you have the cookie pool, and then you can target your customers in more of a upper funnel display. And when they land onto your site, you can capture those interactions as part of the DMP cookies as well. But they really do not create or contain the true profile information of the customers as well. So while in the MDM, I have my true profile. In DMP, I have my transactional information of what customer is doing in a digital space, but they are not fused together. The third player, which is trying to grab some spot in that space is the CRMs of the world, which is where Salesforce, CRMs, the Microsofts, the HubSpot, Zohos, and Freshsales of the world try to claim that they already know a lot about customers, so they are trying to get into that space as well. But again, they are great to manage the relationships and build journeys, but historically they have a low power engine to manage huge volume of data. And again, the fourth big player he's trying to gain some momentum and some attention in that space is the web analytics platform, which is where you have all the captures about the customers, what kind of behavior they're exhibiting on your app or your website. They contain a lot of clickstream information about the customers in a near real time and provides analytics capability, but cannot manage the person level profile details, which is what is sitting in your first party data ecosystem. So while these four players from the MarTech view are super important, very much needed, but to create that single view of the customer, where you have your profile information, your behavior information, your insights together fused into one single view of the customer, that's where the gap is there, and that's where CDP fits in pretty well. So just to put it more in context of a use case as well, and that's what I always find useful, that it's great that we understand what CDP is not, but what is CDP enabling actually. So just to take one example, which I think most of us can relate to, is meeting Alberto. So he recently moved from New York to Seattle. He has a family of 4, and he is your company's existing customer. He loves to spend time with the family and does a lot of research before buying a product. But once you make him an offer, once he's in the journey, he gets an offer which he cannot refuse, he will jump onto it. On the other hand, his kids loves your products and are kind of loyalist. So if you think about it from the marketer perspective, even though this looks a pretty nice story about a customer, there's a huge amount of golden nuggets about Alberto, which marketers really want to use as a trigger points. The first and foremost, he's from New York. That gives them a little bit of a demographic information, what kind of persona this person has. He's moving to Seattle, which means there's a high likelihood that other brand who is much more prevalent in Seattle potentially can grab this customer's attention. And if he's moving to Seattle, is there any other opportunity for this brand as well to provide him another set of products which might be relevant in Seattle? He's a family of 4, so which means that if the brand has products which can cut across families, can we provide them? He's an existing customer, which means that he's already aware of the brand, so we are not on the top of the funnel. We do not need to create any awareness of the brand. It's more about putting the right product in front of the customers now and making sure that the conversion happens. He does a lot of research before buying, which means that there's always a very high likelihood that he might switch. If some other brand can make him the right offer, somebody else can provide the right product, the features that he's looking for, he will switch. So we want to make sure that we do not just retain him, but also protect the turf in terms of not losing this customer. On the other hand, his kid loves your product, which means that not just there's an impact that we can create as a brand within his family as well, and his kids are definitely a loyalist. Breaking those signals into 3 major buckets is what is the first step that we try to do in CDP. That what's the profile details of Alberto? We now know his demographic details, geographic details, what kind of relationship he has with the brand, and within his own household, what's the kind of network that he's building. We have, if since he's existing customers, we know that what kind of digital behavior he has exhibited on our sites, on our app. So we know he does a lot of research. So he likes to read the reviews. He likes to maybe rate products as well. So that's again a golden piece of nugget for us. We know that what are the potential triggers that can help us actually make him help him to make a decision to buy. If he has bought a product from us in past, what was his servicing experience? If we send him a survey, how did he react to it? And what are the other kind of behaviors that he exhibited? And to get all that information together in one place, it's not just the enterprise data that is sitting in some enterprise systems, but on the upper funnel, what kind of ads he reacts to, what kind of social media interaction that he has with the brand. So if he's using Twitter handles related to brand, what can we learn from that? If we have sent him an email in past, did he actually open it? Did he actually clicked on it? What was the best offer that he looked at it and was able to convert very quickly? And if he's already in market to buy something, can we really use that as a channel, as a tipping point? The next channel that we always look at is what is he doing on our website? What is he doing on our app? What can we learn from that? If he recently bought clothes for himself, what kind of clothes he bought? What are the next best set of clothes that we can offer him? If he bought a really nice shirt, should we tell him that what else goes with that shirt? What's the trouser? What's the tie that goes with it? And if he goes to the store as well, what's the in-store thing that he's buying? Is he going to store mostly to buy stuff for his kids or for his wife? What's the experience over there? And then towards the end, if he returns something back to us or if he complained about something, what kind of a servicing experience that we provided to him? So that's the kind of data that we really want to bring together as part of creating that single view of the customer, the 360 view of the customer, coming from various channels, not just internal and external, to create that profile of the customer. And the end goal is, again, multiple use cases that we really want to enable as part of creating that customer data profile, going into targeting or retargeting. How can we create more smarter segments? The segment of one, which is the golden goal that all the marketers have, but in between there is still segments and micro segments that is really useful, that can help us reach out to Alberto in a right way. What are the triggers, the signals that we should always be listening to? Because most of the time these relationships are built over a period of longer tail times. And depending on the product set, some products can be bought very quickly. Some products do take a lot of time. So if I think of products like the ecosystem that Apple has created, they manage relationship over a very long tail, very long period of time. And they always keep on looking for the trigger points which they use to send information to the customer. So as the new Apple product launch is coming alive or getting a little bit more closer, they look at those signals, they go back to their data and then send the details about the next product to the customers. The third big set of use cases that we always like to leverage is that what can we learn from Alberto that can be applied to the similar set of customers, the whole lookalike, using the first party data itself, not just going into DMP and buying data from them in DMP for the segments, but also within the first party, what kind of journeys we have seen Alberto take, what can we learn from that, and what can we reuse out of that for people like Alberto. The fourth big bucket of targeting, retargeting, what I've seen in past is the whole survey and the extrapolation of service. So people give a lot of information as part of service, but usually what we have seen is it's a very small percentage of people actually respond to service. And then you can see it in your own life. We get bombarded with service, but how many do we actually respond to? But people who respond to give such a great amount of information that can again be extrapolated to the other audience set as well. And that's again one thing that is enabled by CDP as well. On the other side, there's a lot of optimization that can be done using that data. In which media channel should we reach out to Alberto? He is not a heavy on social, so why should we target him on social? He's an email guy who likes to open emails as soon as he gets it. Maybe that's the best channel. Or maybe he is visiting our app on a very regular basis. Can I show him a display on ad on our app? and even reduce my media spend or ad spend by a huge margin, what's the right frequency to reach out to him? Is 7 the right number? Is 10 the right number? Or if I reach out to him in 15 times a month, he will be annoyed and he will not be looking at my brand anymore. What's the frequency for that? And what's the best time to reach out to him as well? So as we are bringing in a lot of the interaction data back as part of that transaction pillar, is always a huge amount of learning that we can learn and optimize the time, the frequency, the spends, effectively making our market is much more efficient. And the third big pillar is regarding the analytics, that all of this information is great from activation standpoint as well, but as learning as well, that which is the most efficient channel, how does the overall journey looks of the customers. And I've seen that no set of customers take one linear journey. There are so many journeys that customers can take before they actually convert. And what's the overall basket? What's the overall products that the customer is buying? Because if you think of the current world, there is no single product that you're offering to customers. Most of the time, organizations are offering multiple basket of products, and there is always a likelihood that customers can get multiple set of products from the company. And there's a lot of research done in that space as well, that once a customer buy one product from you, the likelihood of getting them multiple products from the same brand is high, but it all depends on the kind of experiences they get from the first product. So that's where I think CDP can bring a lot of gold information together and elevate that experience so that you can not just sell one product, but multiple products to the customers and build that strong relationship with the customer. So this is all great. This all makes sense. Marketers have been talking a lot about it. How do we actually build it together? And that's where there are a lot of options out there in the market. You can always build one, you can always buy one, and there is no right answer to that. The big thing that I have learned in last 8 to 10 years while building a lot of these CDPs for companies in retail sector, travel hospitality sector, and as well as luxury goods sector, as well as now in financial institutions, is data engineers are at the core of it. Whichever route we take, either building or buying, at the end of the day, data platforms, the customer data platforms are massive integration projects. You have to get data from multiple places, and you have to provide data to multiple channels to elevate that experiences. And the other thing that I've learned is that the solution will evolve over a period of time. There is no set and done for customer data platforms. That's a starting point, but it has to evolve as you're onboarding new use cases, as you're learning more about customers, and as you're launching more channels. The channels are always increasing. The customer experiences, expectations are always increasing. So you have to be really agile while we're building these customer data platforms. And as I was saying, that build and buy are always option. What I have done in past is used a 5-point scale to see that what should we be doing. So definitely, if you are looking for a competitive advantage, build might be the goal, but that has a high time to launch as well. It will take a lot of time to build some of the capabilities that are needed, not just from data aggregation perspective, but also providing a UI, the self-service UI to your marketers to analyze the data, to create the segments, and then push it to the channels. So that's the balance that you have to think about. What kind of unique business problems you're trying to solve? What is the volume of data you're trying to manage? What is the time to launch, as well as the cost? So at times it might feel that build is cheaper, but if you do the total cost of ownership, buy might be cheaper as well. So those are some of the things that you have to really evaluate on, that what's the advantage? Is data the advantage, or is platform the advantage? Is the business problem that you're trying to solve very unique to your industry? Or is it something, a typical marketing problem that can be solved by the product that is already out there? What kind of volume you are thinking about? What's the time to launch? Because if you go into the build path, it can take a huge amount of efforts and resources internally to launch a CDP platform. In my own personal experiences, the best option that I have found is more of a hybrid of the both. Because if you put a tool in, and if you try to integrate all of the data into that tool, there is no standardized definition of customer profile. which means you still have to do a lot of mapping of your own customer data attributes into the tool, which is again a heavy engineering job. There is no abstraction of those enterprise data platforms that can be easily fed into a CDP, which again requires a lot of engineering. The business problem is again a mix of things. There are some standardized marketing use cases that can be quickly launched with the buy, but then there are always some unique outliers where you really have to customize and bespoke development to really complete the edge case scenarios. And again, on the volume side as well, depending on your brand, depending on the marketing spend, the volume can be low or medium or high, and that's where you have to think a lot. From the time to launch perspective as well, there are certain use cases using build can take a lot longer, whereas if you go with the buy route, you can launch them pretty quickly. And the cost as well, it is a balance between how much you invest internally and how much you can just pick it up off the shelf. But that's where I think I usually have seen hybrid being a pretty robust option covering those scenarios. Diving a little bit more deeper into a typical CDP solution, what does that look like? So if you go from the far left, where you have all of your digital channels going from upper funnel, ads, display, search, social, that's the first source that you want to really get data from. The second is, as customers are moving down the funnel, they have browsed, they have looked at the product, they have bought the product. A lot of information post-buy is sitting into transaction systems like your POS, your enterprise systems. That's the second source of information that you really want to get into. And then there are ERP system, which contains a lot of your product details, what products do you offer, because eventually you really want to map your customers to the propensity of the products as well. So you want that information coming together as well. From the collection standpoint, you really want to clean and store the data. A lot of these sources are going to be real time. So if you look at all the clickstream sources, you want to support your real time streams, as well as a lot of enterprise sources will be able to provide data to you only in a batch manner. So you want to support both real time as well as batch data ingestions. But first and foremost, you want to clean it and store it, make sure you have tagged it correctly, and you are able to identify each customer uniquely. That's where unify and enrich starts coming in. And as part of the ID stitching, that's the first thing that we typically do in CDP is we look at various identifiers. And this is one problem that is the most difficult to solve within the enterprise solutions, because there are so many systems sitting out there with customer identifiers different in each of these systems. What is the bridge across those IDs? That's where CDPs can do both deterministic as well as probabilistic match, depending on the use case. So if you are reaching out to somebody in upper funnel channel, maybe 80-90% accuracy is fine if you can tie Anand 1 to Anand 2. But if you're reaching to Anand in an email channel, you want that 100% probability that, yep, this is the right Anand. This is not Anand's twin. So based on those probabilistic and deterministic criteria, you can stitch customer data coming from all of the channels on the left by putting their user ID, analytics cookie ID, the TMS ID, the DMP IDs, email IDs together in one single place to create that bridge. Once you have created that bridge, once you have created that view of the customer, now the next action that you want to do is provide some sort of intelligence or segmentation capabilities, which can either be rule-based or AML-based. Even though we are moving a lot towards automated AI, ML-based, there's still a lot of rule-based decisioning that needs to happen as the business has some stringent rules that they have to adhere to. And if you overlay that with the compliance, the consent, and all that stuff, there are definitely a very strong space for rules as well. And once you combine both of them together, helping to create segments for marketers, and then pushing the data back into the channels of DMPs, the emails, the sites to create that experience, and then looping that data back into your CDP so that there's always continuous loop and the close happening in terms of what you're sending in front of the customers, how are they reacting to it, and bringing that information back. So conceptually, that's how I've seen multiple CDPs being built either by product vendors or in-house as well. The key differences that comes in is most of the CDPs may skew towards one. A lot of CDPs may skew more towards the digital data, lot might skew towards more of enterprise data, that how can I bring my enterprise data into one single place? And that's where, based on the use case, the engineers have to make the call, working very closely with the business partners, that what kind of experience we really want to put it in front of our customers to enable that experience. And just as a build, more of a buy option, before we get into a little bit of a build, there are a lot of product vendors which are coming out there, going from new age vendors like Agile One, Redpoint, Blueconic, Emparticle, Segments, Action IQ, Empathies, and Celebris of the world, to both Adobe, Salesforce, and Informatica doing their own internal builds, or going out in the market to buy existing product vendors and putting them in their own fold. So I strongly believe in next couple of years, there will be a lot of acquisition happening in this space, because with the Adobe and Salesforce, as they want to retain their market position in the marketing space, they will keep on buying some of these vendors. But there are some strengths for all of these vendors, and there are some weak areas. So depending on the use case, you have to really evaluate that what's the best fit for you, and then make that decision based on the use cases. On the other side, you can always go with the build route as well. It can be either on Azure, AWS, or GCPs. Within Azure, if you have to build it, it becomes more of an integration project, putting a lot of tools together, going from all the way to things like Data Factory to pull the data, streaming sources as well, and then putting the data into Azure Storage, data lakes, Cosmos DBs, SQL DBs of the world, and then providing compute capabilities using other data lake analytics, Databricks, HD Insights, where you start building that customer profile, and then containerizing the solution in Kubernetes, and then providing UI using either Power BI or ML Workspace, or to your data scientists, providing the other UIs so that they can create those smarter segments, and providing the analysis services using which you can then push the data into the activation platforms. So that's another very valid route, I would say, that you can build it using Azure. The same thing you can always do it with AWS as well. Pulling the tools provided by AWS like Lambda, Apache Airflow, Kinesis, to stream the data, to create those workflows, get data into your data lake, host the data either into S3 bucket, the Redshifts of the world, and then stitching it again to create that unified view of the customers, create that single view of the customers, denormalizing the data, and then providing, building the UI on top of it by using some of the BI tools, or providing the search layers to create that unified view of the customers. But again, this is a very heavy lift to create the UI for marketers, because marketers expect pretty rich UIs. But again, a very valid path that you can take and build those experiences. And then once you have the data unified, created in one single place, you have identified the segments you want to target to, pushing that into the downstream systems to elevate that experiences. I'll take a pause here. I think I saw a couple of questions popping up. Anjani, is there any question that you saw that? Got it. Cool. So I think just to wrap it up, and then I'm open to take more questions. So the key takeaways, what I felt to make a very successful CDP for engineers is, one, always work with your partners to define the use cases, and the use cases will evolve over a period of time. But create a catalog, identify the patterns that are needed to enable that experiences. What are the key capabilities that your marketers are looking for by having that catalog of use cases? Once you have that, work with the business partners to prioritize them and make sure that you hit the low-hanging fruits first. You want to really show the value early on before the team starts investing a lot more. The second thing is, think about ID ring. That's one key area that has to evolve over a period of time, working with your multiple channel owners as well, because each of the channel team might have their own solution within the channel or the backend systems using which they're identifying the customers. How do we bring that IDs together? What is the best solution over there? Can you do deterministic? Can you do probabilistic? Do you need to put another solution over there? CDPs do provide solutions over there in terms of probabilistic and deterministic, but it becomes much more wider at times. to put all that together in context of the customer, because there are so many platforms where the data is sitting for the customer. The third biggest area is more around self-service. So it can easily become just another data platform or data project where you're putting in customer data, but not providing a UI to your marketers to look at the data in a much more logical, conceptual way to understand the customer, that what customers are actually doing, what can I offer them next. So think about that self-service UI where they can create those rules, where they can look at those rules, where they can analyze the data and become more of a self-sufficient as well, instead of reaching out to engineers all the time. That's the third biggest thing. The fourth thing that you have to always think about is modular. At the end of the day, any data projects, and especially the customer data projects, are integration projects where you are bringing in data from multiple sources and pushing the data to multiple sources. So the design pattern that you're putting together, the tools and technologies that you're putting together, are they modular enough that you can pull one out and plug another one in? So think of that as always as a module. And next to the module is scale, because the amount of digital data that is created in today's day and age is increasing, and is going to increase a lot with what's happening in the macro economy, macro conditions for us right now as well, with all the lockdown that we saw last year, which is continuing this year as well, unfortunately. So the volume is going to increase. So are we building for scale? And the last one is privacy and compliance. With social media, with what we saw in the privacy GDPR space, CCPA space, these customer data platforms can be a key enabler for that as well. When the customer reached out back to you asking you that, what do you know about me, and please delete it, CDPs can eventually help marketers as well as the business teams to do that. But think of how can you enable that as you're building the design for it. So privacy and compliance, and making sure that the data is safe, secure, and used in a very well-managed way is also very, very important. So that's the high-level takeaway that I think if you have to take one slide out of the CDP, I would say that remember these as a 5 base principles when building the CDPs. With that, Anjani, I'll take a pause, but happy to take more questions.
Yeah, so we have a couple of questions. The first question is from Sujay. He's saying, can we say that CDPs are DMP plus unique user profiling and then targeting them for a personalized experience?
So I would say conceptually it's close, but not exactly. The reason being DMP does a lot more than just managing the cookie IDs of the customers. So they provide a lot of enrichments from third party. There's a data marketplace. And then when you start targeting customers in the display channels, ad channels, the search and the social, and using DMPs, it gets a lot more wider in terms of the volume, and it gets more into prospecting space as well. I always like to think of CDP more as customers, whereas DMPs manage more in the prospect space. From the MarTech ecosystem, you need both of them, and they have their own unique places. And there are integration points between them, because you are going to target your customers in the upper funnel display channels as well. So CDP do funnel data into DMPs, but they have their own space in the MarTech ecosystem.
With that, we have another question, which is like, this is from Raghav Nagraj. What is your thought on maintaining master data where the data stewards are not involving? MDM,
it's an interesting question. So
master data management,
yeah. So Raghav, so that I understand it a little bit more, when you say the data stewards are not involving, what does that mean? That they are not engaged or do not have data stewards?
Raghav, you can ask directly. You can open your mic and then connect with Anand. So he's saying they are not showing interest here.
Got it. Yeah, so I think that's a very classical problem of more around change management and the change in behavior. So one thing that we have to do always as we are building any of the data platforms, not the CDP, is engage your business users upfront. At the end of the day, as engineers, we are building something to enable a business need or a customer need. If they are not engaged, that means that we're not building the right thing. We are not solving the right problem. So the sooner you engage them, the sooner you involve them as you're thinking of the design, as you're thinking of the use cases, that's where you have to pull them in. If you feel that they are not engaged, that means there's a very high likelihood that you're not solving the problem which is of the highest priority for them.
Yeah, I agree. And adding to that, regarding deleting record, we personally failed, and obviously when we're doing it as an enterprise for building CDP, it was obviously an easy thing for us. But as a startup, we see we are struggling. We have lot and lot email going to different people around our community, and we see sometime that we have uploaded the same record with the two of the vendors, and where we try to send mail, mass mail to for the session and other thing. And if someone discontinues taking email from one platform, if you do not manage and sync it up correctly, it becomes a huge problem, because again he will feel invited because he has already opted out for the email, and still he is thinking. So when the CDP platform comes into the picture, this was just a small example which many of the startup struggle with. But when the whole platform for the enterprise comes into picture, we have to make sure from the design that deleting data is also very important than just storing and reserving it for.
Yeah,
And
Absolutely.
I Anjani, again, this Dheeraj Singh here again. Anand, I understand. I mean, I was trying to get the gist of it to understand and tie back with the data warehouse. Normally, it sounds like a subset of a data warehouse where we normally denormalize. Sorry. Yeah, where we try and denormalize the entire data sets, especially towards the customer side, which is one of the very important thing. Which because when we talk about a warehouse, when we are denormalizing the data, the purpose is to display the data by that respective attributes, right? So we do it does sounds like a subset of a data warehouse because we do try and see that the best 10 customers, we try and see that the number of customers involved in how many different things. There has to have a typical data governance to protect the security and all those things. Can you throw some light on that, that the purpose of coming up with this? Because as I just mentioned, we do have this as a subset of our data warehouse, isn't it?
Absolutely, Dheeraj. So I think there is definitely a little bit of overlap in terms of thinking. If you think in purely in terms of data, all of the data platforms in some shape or form will adhere to some standard principles that I need my attributes, I need my features, I need my dimensions, I need all of this privacy, security, compliance at a feature level. That is all true. The difference starts coming in when you think it from the use case lens. See, data warehouses are primarily built for analytical use case, which means that the dimensional modeling, either you're doing a star schema or you're doing a more of a any other dimensional modeling that you pick up, is geared towards creating that dimensional view so that your analyst can come in, analyze the insights, gain that insights, and surface it up. Whereas in case of CDP, it is not just about insights. Can I look at individual customers and send that information to my email marketing platform or my website to actually now send the message to Dheeraj that Dheeraj, you just bought this shirt. This shirt will go very nice with this jeans. Why don't you look at the jeans as well? So that's where the difference starts coming in. The data at the end of the day, we need the details, but how are we going to use it defines that how do we actually store it.
yeah, so adding
Got it. Okay.
so adding to Anand, it's like the biggest difference is how do we deal with the in-market customer who are actually on your site on the fly, and you have to market them up instantly. You have to send a message which actually encourage them to decide between like to buy something, is one of the very most important part of these new upcoming platforms. And that's where streaming, real-time data analytics, real-time data science capabilities, streaming system and tools are getting popular to enable that out. So initially we used to see that those real-time capability into the banking system towards analyzing frauds and most of the other things which are mostly a traditional kind of work and activity. Now with the time, obviously it was more towards Google, Facebook, bigger platform which are already there. They have been doing it for long. but but
Right.
but your great is here
Correct.
now. Most of the customers and users are able to do it. So and through these platform,
Combination.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, you did mention about a combination of bunch of different things, which
yes.
includes the machine learning, AI, and the data science within the specific platform. I agree. Yeah, yeah, got it.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
more to that is more like understanding and knowing your customer. Therefore, he is like depicting ID ring. So ID is very important. Connecting customers from all different platform, right from your different channels, internal system, data warehouse is very important to pinpoint them and then actually market them at the right point at the right time.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Any other question? And before that, I would also like to share with you that we have already the slides and everything uploaded. You can take a certificate for this session, and the certificate is with the code which is AJCDP. It's all in caps, and you can claim it with this URL. I'm just pinging out. I already pinged it before, but I am pinging it again. And you will get a mail once you claim the certificate for this. And once you claim the certificate for this, you will get a mail. You will get your private event page. I will soon show you. And on that event page, you will see a lot of things enabled for you. So let me show this here. So I just Anand, can I share my screen for a moment?
Sure. Let me close this.
Okay, so here you go. And so once you are there on the platform, obviously, while taking the certificate, don't get confused. This is the URL. Just go there. The code that I asked for,
Sharing.
you can go
Hey,
here.
you're not. We can't see your screen.
Okay, just give me a moment. Looks like there is some problem.
Sir, we cannot see your screen. Can you make sure that you are sharing properly?
Yes. So can you see my screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So you have to go here, which is like you can directly search it from the event page from the fifthir.com. Go inside the events and you will see uh, customer data platform, or you can simply search CDP here and you will get to the course here, and from here you can click and it will take you to this link where you can put in your details. And once you put in your detail, you will be here, and here you see the record is also streaming. You can download a one short ebook from here, and also you will be able to see that that the certificate you can claim it from here. There is a extra quiz we have got it collected from the internet, which is here to let you know more. There is a one free file which is the session that he's talking about is here. There's a echo coming, and then there's a free video to watch, which is a basic CDP video. If you can go on mute, and then there's a source code. It's like any collection or any source code that comes up around CDP will come up here. So this is all the details here, and to take the certificate you just have to go, like you can click here, it will automatically guide you through this, and then I have already pinged you AJCDP, which is all in caps, which you can
What
see.
is the link?
So fifthir.com, can you see?
Can you write the link again, or is there a chat or something?
I have put it in the chat window.
Oh, you have.
Yes. So go and search in the chat window. You'll be able to find out. But the easiest thing to find it out is 5thir. It's a very thing easy to find. 5thir.com. And then you have to search CDP and it will automatically direct you to everything. And here you go.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I have another quick question for Anand.
Yeah.
I don't see it in the chat.
Where do you see? Are you trying to see in the meeting chat?
Yeah, chat with everyone. It doesn't show anything there.
can see that. Can you try fifth IR 5thir.com?
THIR dot.
5 digit 5thir.
Let me share it again. So it's just 5 THIR, nothing. You can even Google also. You just have to do nothing. You can type in 5 THIR plus Anand or CDP anything, and you will be able to find out. From here, it will
Other
take you
than
to
going going from that link, just go on the LinkedIn. It will go through you directly on that page also.
yeah,
So
on the LinkedIn also. On the LinkedIn also, you
just
will
click
be
on the that link of given below over the event page.
yeah, yeah.
Just click that link and you will go directly over there.
It will automatically take you to there. So you can go and
Perfect.
yeah, there are multiple way to go.
Partha, you good? Partha, you good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Anand, quick question before I know it's all already 1 hour. It's already been done. So considering it, we are at the same time, so it doesn't seem like a late for us. So I know Capital One is a pure AWS shop. I am well aware of it. What exactly approach do you personally prefer in terms of setting up the CDP using a cloud solution, AWS versus Azure?
So keeping aside Capital One, Dheeraj, I think it all depends on the overall ecosystem of the organization. So if an organization is more heavy on Azure, it's recommended to go on Azure. If the organization is heavy on AWS, you can go on that route because, as I was saying earlier, CDP is an integration project. If you try to create a new ecosystem which cannot integrate with your existing ecosystem, it will not fly. So I think between AWS, GCP, or Azure, technically they are going to be at a very similar par very soon, if not already there. I think the amount of money that these three organizations are investing on cloud is immense. So technically, I think you will not be behind. So to gain the right outcomes or the value out of this, it's more important to be in at par with other enterprise platforms. So if you're already heavy on Azure, go with it. If you're already heavy on AWS, go with it. If you're a GCP shop, go with it. You will not go wrong.
Yeah, so I mean, sounding like both are mature.
Yep, yep. I think technically, I think all the three are getting there.
All right, cool, good. Thanks. Really appreciate it. I mean, this is really a very interesting session, I guess.
Any other question, mates, before we drop off? Okay. So thank you, Anand. Obviously, it was a great session, and thanks for your time from your such a busy schedule, and especially on Sunday. And thank you everyone for joining and listening to Anand. Hope to see him soon again in some other session.
Cool.
Thanks,
Really, it
everyone.
was great. Yeah. Anand, I'll try and
Yeah,
connect
thank
with
you.
you through LinkedIn.
Yeah, it will be quite
All right.
great for us as well.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. 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 Bye, Dheeraj Singh.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.